sets and then you're left with a mould. But it's really flexible, and the reason why it's really flexible is so that you can stick it on the face and in awkward areas and it doesn't get stuck. So some people prefer Vaseline as a sealer, and you need a barrier between the silicone and the piece. And some designers will say to you, use Vaseline. Personally, I like release and seal. You take your mould, make sure it's clean. If it's dirty or it's got a little bit of sticky in it from last time, you just clean it with some IPA. And then you take your release and seal. I use a cotton bud, so I just pop a little bit in. You don't want loads because otherwise it will give it a big edge that's more difficult to blend off. You just need a little bit. And you take your cotton bud and you just move it around so it just covers the whole mould.
Is that the bondo you're pouring in?
Yeah. So this is the release and seal.
Oh, right.
So put that in first. You can use this or you can use Vaseline.
Yeah.
I prefer this. Some designers prefer Vaseline because sometimes this makes them more shiny. But we have lovely sealers that are matte, so it doesn't matter. Personal preference, I prefer that. So what I've done is I've just filled the mould. You can't really see, but I've taken my cotton bud and I've just moved it around so it's evenly spread like butter on a bit of bread, just on the inside, because it's a negative mould. All moulds are negative, so you do a positive sculpt and then you make a negative mould, and then what happens is the prosthetic comes out is positive, and you let it dry. If you fill your mould while the release and seal is wet, it just won't feel very nice. It sort of like bobbles up a little bit, so you want to make sure that's clear. But you can see it's like it's just a thick, the consistency is just thick glue, like a Copydex. I've just popped the bondo in the mould. See, I didn't use that much, did I? And I'm just going to take my tool and wipe off the excess, because if anything, with bondos, it's always better to slightly underfill than overfill. You just want to make sure that the middle section where the sculpt is has got a decent amount of product in, but then flash off the edge so you've got a really nice paper thin edge. I prefer silicone parchment paper, but you might use acetate and it's like works perfectly. So what you do is you cut a square of it. Once it's filled like this, you lay the paper over, or the acetate over, and you make sure it's tight, and then you can get a little tool like this or tongue depressor, and then you push over the top. So you've laid your paper down and you push over the top, and then you take it, you put it in your freezer and you leave it for about an hour. Check it, but again, it depends on the thickness. Do not leave it in there for longer than an hour. So once it's filled, you turn it upside down like this, and then you can literally peel it off of the paper. So you're then left with a transfer on a paper. You then leave that to dry out.